I thought my wedding day would be perfect, but my mother-in-law served a dish laced with nuts knowing my severe allergy. Was she trying to sabotage me, or did she genuinely believe it was harmless? What would you do in my shoes? I sat in my living room, surrounded by wedding planning chaos, as my husband's family discussed the reception menu. My mother-in-law, Linda, smiled warmly. I'll make my famous traditional dish. It'll be a lovely touch.
I exchanged a glance with my husband, Mom. I don't know if that's a good idea. His jaw tightened. Linda, Sarah has a severe nut allergy, remember?
Linda's voice was soothing. Oh, don't worry, dear, I'll be careful. But then something happened. Her eyes flickered, and for a moment, I thought I saw a flash of dismissal. I'll make sure to leave out the nuts, she said, her tone a little too casual. That's when I realized something was wrong, a nagging feeling that she wasn't taking my allergy seriously. My husband's sister, Emily, chimed in, yeah, Sarah's really allergic, Mom. We can't have nuts anywhere near the food. Linda's smile never wavered. I understand, dear. I'll be fine. And this is where everything changed. I began to wonder if I could truly trust her. Into wedding venue kitchen early evening. The kitchen was a flurry of motion caterers in crisp white jackets, steam rising from pots, trays of carefully labeled dishes sliding past. I stepped in, my dress brushing the floor, the lace snagging slightly on the edge of the door. I didn't belong here, but something had pulled me in, a knot of unease twisting in my stomach. Linda stood at the counter, her lipstick a shade too bright, her hands moving with practiced purpose. A small white bowl sat beside her, its contents hidden from view. Oh, Sarah, she said, her voice too sweet, too bright. Shouldn't you be out there enjoying your big day? I just wanted to check in, I replied, forcing a smile. Everything looks amazing. Her hands didn't stop. She was sprinkling something into the soft, sandy cascade. What's that? I asked, my voice catching. Just a little something extra, she said, not looking up. I took a step closer, my heart thudding now. Linda, I said carefully, there aren't nuts in that, right? She paused, just for a moment, then laughed. Oh, don't be silly. It's tradition. And that's when I realized something was wrong. I hesitated, but the room was buzzing with laughter and clinking glasses, and Linda was already turning away, her laugh sharp and dismissive. I looked down at the plate, her special dish. A vibrant swirl of spices, garnished with something finely crushed. It's tradition, Shed said. My stomach twisted, but I told myself I was overthinking. Surely she wouldn't. Not today. I took a bite, then another. The flavors were bold, rich, but then something happened. My lips tingled, a familiar, electric prickle. My throat tightened, as if an invisible hand had begun to squeeze. I froze, my fork clattering onto the plate. Around me, the room blurred, faces laughing, oblivious. My chest felt heavy, like someone had placed a weight on it. I reached for my water, my hands trembling. Sarah, my bridesmaid's voice cut through the haze. Her eyes widened. Are you okay? No, I rasped. My voice was barely a whisper. Panic clawed up my spine. I staggered to my feet, gripping her arm. EpiPen, now! She didn't hesitate, but as we hurried toward the restroom, Linda's voice echoed faintly behind me. It's just a little. She's overreacting. And that's when it hit me. I wasn't just having an allergic reaction. I was losing control of my own body, and with it, the last shred of my safety. You seen too. The bathroom door slammed behind me, rattling on its hinges. My bridesmaid, Claire, had her arm around me, practically dragging me toward the sink. My breath came in shallow, ragged gasps, like I was trying to suck air through a pinhole. Claire, use it. Now. Her voice cut through the static in my head. You shaking? I fumbled with my purse. My fingers felt numb, foreign, like they didn't belong to me. The EpiPen slipped from my grip and clattered onto the tile. Claire, shit, she hissed, snatching it up. Here, just breathe. You're okay. But I wasn't okay. My throat was a tightening noose, my chest a drumbeat of panic. My vision blurred around the edges, darkening, and I thought, is this it? Am I going to die at my own wedding? Claire yanked the cap off and pressed the needle into my thigh. A sharp sting, then heat, then the rush, like lightning zapping through my veins. But then something happened. The adrenaline hit too fast, too hard. My knees buckled, and I crumpled to the floor. I can't, my voice cracked, barely audible. Claire, stay with me. Claire gripped my shoulders, her eyes wide, frantic. I gasped, my lungs burning. And that's when I realized I wasn't just fighting for air. I was fighting to hold myself together. The bathroom tiles were cold against my knees as I slumped against the wall, my dress pooling around me like a collapsed parachute. My bridesmaid, Claire, crouched in front of me, her hands trembling as she held the empty EpiPen. My chest still felt like it was in a vice grip, each breath shallow and jagged. "Stay with me, Sarah," Claire whispered, her voice cracking like a splintering branch. I nodded, but my head felt heavy, my thoughts sluggish. Outside, I could hear the muffled hum of the reception, laughter, the music, the clinking glasses. My wedding, my day. But then something happened.
The door creaked open and my husband stepped in, his face pale, his jaw clenched so tightly it looked like it might shatter. He knelt beside me, his hand brushing mine. "It was her," he said, his voice low but sharp. "She put nuts in the dish."
What? My throat burned as I forced the word out.
"She said she forgot," he continued, his eyes flashing with something between rage and disbelief. "She said it wasn't a big deal."
I blinked at him, my fingers curling into my dress. "She knew," I whispered, my voice barely audible. "She knew." And this is where everything changed. Some people believe my MIL was just being careless. Others think she intentionally disregarded my feelings. So I ask you, was it a mistake or a calculated move? What's your take? I sat on the edge of our bed, the wedding dress now crumpled in a garment bag in the corner, like a forgotten relic. My hands hovered over my knees, trembling slightly, as if my body hadn't fully let go of the fear. The air in the house felt heavy, pressing down on me in waves. "She knew," I whispered again, the words clinging to the walls like an accusation left unanswered.
My husband was silent, standing by the window, his jaw tight. He hadn't touched me since we got home, not out of anger, but something deeper. Guilt, maybe, or helplessness.
My mind replayed the moment I tasted the dish, the texture of the crushed nuts, sharp and gritty against my tongue, my throat tightening like a vice, the panic in my bridesmaid's face as she fumbled for my EpiPen, her hands shaking, the bathroom tiles cold against my palms as I steadied myself. "I don't understand," I said finally, my voice cracking. "How could she forget? She's known for years. And she just added them."
"She said she didn't mean to," he muttered, his voice flat. "She didn't think it was enough to hurt you."
But then something happened. I looked at him. She didn't think it was enough. My chest tightened again, not from the allergy, but from the weight of it all. That's not forgetting. That's a choice. And this is where everything changed. I realized it wasn't just the nuts. It was the defensiveness, the lack of remorse, the way she dismissed me like I was overreacting. My mother-in-law didn't just disregard my allergy, she disregarded me.
"Hello, I'm Dr. Julian Reed. In my years of studying toxic relationships, this pattern appears more often than people realize. What you've described is a classic case of covert invalidation, a subtle, yet insidious form of psychological manipulation where the antagonist, in this case, your mother-in-law, undermines your reality while maintaining plausible deniability. Here, the act of adding nuts to the dish despite her awareness of your allergy functions as a calculated microaggression. The behavior is not overtly hostile enough to be universally condemned, but it is precise in its ability to destabilize you. Her subsequent dismissal of the incident as not a big deal compounds the injury by minimizing your very real physical and emotional distress. This is where covert invalidation thrives. It makes the victim question their own perceptions and feel isolated in their experience of harm. Your mother-in-law's actions suggest a lack of empathy and a potential need for control. By disregarding your boundaries and health, she exerted dominance in a way that forced you to question your safety and value within the family dynamic. The defensiveness and lack of remorse are further hallmarks of this manipulation. Rather than acknowledging fault, she attempts to shift focus away from her behavior, framing it as an innocent mistake. This tactic not only silences you, but also creates a narrative where her intent is harder to challenge, leaving you to shoulder both the blame and the emotional fallout. Your realization that this wasn't just about the nuts is crucial. It signals an awakening to a deeper pattern of disregard, a pattern where your needs, boundaries, and even your personhood are consistently invalidated. This moment of clarity is often the turning point in recognizing toxic dynamics. It's not overreaction, it's survival. Your emotions are not only valid, but are also your psyche's way of sounding the alarm that something is deeply wrong. If you've ever had your boundaries crossed under the guise of forgetfulness or innocence, you understand how these subtle acts of invalidation erode trust and safety. Subscribe to Soul Stories, because truth deserves witnesses.